Welcome into the B-Dub Bros podcast. We are back with the best time of the year. College football has officially started. Week 1 is under our belts, and week 0, if you still consider that a thing, even though it's just teams playing week 1 early. But we are into the best part of the season, the best part of the calendar year as well. The weather's changing. It feels like football outside. I'll go ahead and introduce my host. My brother Logan is back as always. What's up, brother?
Back at it, repping the home team. Super homer over here, and I couldn't be happier with Joey Swagular and being back at football season. It's been a while, but let's get this going. It's the best time of the year.
And we'll jump right into that as we go into kind of the week 1 reactions and some of the, of course, headlines of the week. But the first one was Tennessee's coming in, a lot of unknowns. They're going to be at best 7-5, 8-4 team. They've got a quarterback that wasn't even good enough to start at UCLA. He's going to throw 150 interceptions. And Tennessee gets out there, and it turns out that Joey Aguilar has been there for 3 months and runs the offense better than the last two quarterbacks even came close to.
It sure seems like it. And even if, let's say, Syracuse is a horrible team and they took a giant dump in the offseason and they're just the worst team ever and last year was a fluke. He still ran that offense exactly as Josh Heupel wanted him to. So, yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. I can absolutely say that. I think there was just a big, with everyone wearing orange. I mean, he wasn't perfect, but I don't think you could have asked for anything better given the information we were going off of. I mean, some people were saying this was a pick 'em. Some people even were calling for the upset. Some people thought Joey was going to probably switch reps. No, he's the guy. He is the guy. And he I was I was perfectly content with his performance, and I am looking forward to the season. Am I picking them to win the SEC? No, but I think 10 games is on the table now.
Yeah, I think to your point, we saw a couple of the buzzwords that we heard all week after the game was I think the number one was poise, a guy that has played a lot of college football, and I think a guy that proved a lot of the worries coming out of Appalachian State were more on his surrounding team because 2 years ago at Appalachian State was statistically really, really good. Still threw for, I think, 4,000 yards last year at App State, but his supporting cast just wasn't there. And I think you saw
Yeah.
that this week at Tennessee. Of course, you see a deep ball that's connected, which is
Oh my
a
gosh, when was
huge,
the last time we saw that?
exactly. And from a guy that we all thought if you get something out of him early in Braylon Staley, that's huge. We saw him come back, a guy that hadn't practiced much, so that was big. And then just the offense in general, even with David Sanders Jr. not playing, the offensive line was better than we thought they were going to be, or at least on my perspective, they were as good as they could have been. No sacks. The running backs did whatever they wanted to, whoever it was, Star Thomas, Peyton Lewis. It was offensively, it was could have been as many points as they wanted to score, got a little conservative, but
Sure.
yeah, it was offensively no issues other than a couple drops, a couple
Yeah.
overthrows, which I think that's more of time in the system than it is actual issues.
Yeah, and not to gloss over the mistakes, but those overthrows seem to be more of, like you said, timing and efficiency, and more of meshing rather than just bad throws.
Yeah, and a bunch
Um,
of those starting receivers just didn't practice very much this spring and fall, and that
yeah,
I think that's part of it for sure.
but yeah, I mean, not to keep gloating about my favorite team. We've got a lot of stuff to talk to, a lot of reactions. But yeah, I mean, I got to think that everybody is a little bit uh, unalert now. That people are paying attention, and that's all you want. You want people to pay attention. You still like to be the underdog, sure. I would love to be ranked behind Alabama as long as possible, but they put some people on notice, I think.
And
By
I
the way,
think
folks,
I
this
think
is
you're
not the new
exactly
line.
right. Yep, repping the
This,
2026. That's one bit of news that we hadn't touched on, but yeah, of course, Tennessee going back to Adidas and going to be really sounds like Adidas's main focal point. I've heard people compare it to, and it's not quite the same, but going to be kind of the Oregon for Adidas football. They are what
yeah,
Oregon is to Nike. It's
yeah,
different because, of course, Phil Knight is so
sure.
connected to the school, but yeah, it'll be interesting. I think it's I don't think it's one that's going to hurt recruiting or anything like that. I think players are going to see the new stuff and it's going to be good. But yeah, a thing that is really the tradition at Tennessee for the most part, other than the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, yeah. At first, I was a little iffy, but knowing what I know now and the effort that Adidas is putting in to make Tennessee their premier school, and Tennessee has the rights to the uniform designs now. They did not have that in the past. Repping the old school millennial Adidas, by the way, that's what I was going to say earlier. Uh, but Yeah, I'm excited. I think it can only be helpful when you have that kind of revenue flow. Uh, it can't hurt. More
Money is
money,
money, and in this version of college football, that will always help. That's for sure.
exactly. But let's move on to some reactions before this becomes a real Tennessee podcast.
Yeah, I think the first one, of course, the game of the week as far as results goes, the most talked about has to be the Alabama Florida State game. I think the spread coming in was over 14, I think. It was 2 touchdowns at
Yep,
least.
I think
And
so. Yeah.
Alabama just did not do anything good. It was just not a
Well,
good game. I think that Florida State is probably not that good of a team either, and Alabama just flat out got embarrassed.
I've heard it compared to last year's opener with Georgia Tech and Florida State, where everybody thought, "Oh, maybe Georgia Tech's just going to be really good this year." Well, it turned out Florida State was just really bad, really, really bad. And Georgia Tech, what, won 7 games last year? So you can never tell what is it going to be. Is Florida State a really good team? Did they really make that big of a turnover that quickly? Or is Alabama a bad football team? We have yet to see. I will say I rewatched a lot of the game a couple times. Alabama's got some good players. They're not a terrible football team. They it looked they just got whooped. They didn't look ready. They didn't look meshed together. The culture looked like uh, just something you don't see in Alabama. It just looks different, very noticeably, and they just got whooped on the lines. And Ty Simpson was running for his life, and he doesn't look like he's the answer at quarterback. And uh, good news if you've got a running quarterback, you might do pretty well against Alabama this year. I mean, they just got whooped in the trenches. What? How many yards rushing did Florida State have? It was almost 300, maybe
Yeah, and
something like that. I don't
I
know, but
think on the flip side, Alabama was close to 50 or over 50 on the first drive of the game and had 20 the rest of the game rushing, and that kind of gives you an
mm,
idea. But yeah, you mentioned that word mesh. It does feel like, I mean, Alabama, they are going to be a talented football team, but it did
yeah,
look like an ununified team that
yeah,
it just didn't feel like, obviously, for Kalen DeBoer's unfortunate sake, they're all going to be compared to what they were before under Nick Saban, and
for
it's
sure.
not the same. I get it. I know that you want it to be a more player friendly program, but right now it's 5-5 in his last 10, I believe, maybe 5-4, but it's not ideal if by any means right
Yeah.
now.
And we're not saying it has to be the same. I'm sure a lot of Alabama homers and a lot of diehards would want it to be the same, of course, but it doesn't have to be the same type of program. But it still has to be Alabama football. And right now, it's not Alabama football. We don't know what it is, but it sure is not the old Nick Saban way. Of course, again, it doesn't have to be, but it's got to be better than what it is.
Yeah,
Uh,
and I hate to tell you this, Alabama fans, but just so you know, the last 15 years was Nick Saban football. It wasn't Alabama football. So you are actually coming back around to Alabama football. Just so you know. Yes, Nick Saban was there, but that wasn't Alabama football. That was Nick Saban football. Go watch something before Nick Saban was there and you'll
but
remember, oh, it was more like what we're watching now.
and before you guys cry too much, we won't be too mean to you. Alabama football traditionally, historically, is a great program, and we're not saying that. But yes, go look back at before Nick Saban, and my old brother Wright is absolutely correct here.
Yeah, it's I mean, I'm not going to sit here and give any kind of pity to a program that has been so successful, but I
No, no
do
one is.
I
Let's
do
be
feel
honest.
a
No
little
one's
bit bad
enjoying
for
this.
Kalen DeBoer because it was a coaching job. I know we talked about it last year that it was a situation that was too good to be true, and also there was a reason why a lot of coaches did not want it
Of
because
course.
it was an impossible situation. The expectations were always going to be too high, and the good news for Alabama is that you're still undefeated in the SEC. You can go run the table. The playoff is completely there for you no matter what Florida State does, but you got a lot of questions that you have to answer very quickly, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is, and then we'll move on to a new topic, or the next reaction is, you expect a drop off, you expect a different product, you expect a new culture and regime, blah 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 blah, but you didn't expect such a fall so quickly. And again, this isn't fair because any other program wouldn't be as worried. But again, this is Alabama. You a fall like this wouldn't be as hurtful to say a I don't know a Mississippi State if they had had a few winning seasons or whatever. But this is Alabama. You don't drop off that quickly when you had everything in your tool belt. It everything. So yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry, guys. I hate it for you. I really do. But everyone's really enjoying this.
Yeah, just so you know that you are a big Alabama fans. Alabama, the football program, is the biggest unifier in college football right now. Everybody else is really happy to see what's going on. And sorry, you've lived it so well for the last 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
Why not let everybody else enjoy it for a week or two?
Finally, welcome to the rest of us.
Yeah,
Welcome
welcome
to
back.
humanity. We'll welcome you with open arms. College football actually sucks.
Yeah, it is a constant kick in the face, and every once in a while something really cool happens, and that's what keeps you coming back. And
Exactly.
speaking of kind of what a game that represents that was really the headline game, what I think should have been, I don't know how it wasn't number one versus number two, but Texas Ohio State was the headliner, the Fox Big Noon game of the week. It was everything leading up to it. It kind of disappointed, I think. If you
Yeah, we would.
watched the game, it really was Texas giving their best effort down the stretch to give themselves a chance, and they did. To their credit, they gave themselves a chance late, but Ohio State's defense really impressive, and the offenses kind of looked like week one offenses against I think, two teams that are still going to be really good.
Yeah, it was kind of a snooze fest. If you love old man radio football, that was for you for sure. But it was quite a snoozer. Not, uh, not very entertaining football, but quite interesting because those two defenses are, and I mean, they're going to be something to reckon with this year. Of course, we could talk Arch Manning, whatever. I'm not giving as much of a hard time as other people are. He played, as far as we know, the best defense in the country Saturday
Yeah,
in his
just
first.
a side note, if you want to give Arch Manning a hard time, for us that like Tennessee football, go back and look at what Peyton Manning's first game was against the top five team. Check out his
Exactly.
stats. I think Arch is going to be okay, but it it just takes it's a I mean, playing in the
That's
horseshoe, it's a different environment. It is as
Yep.
big of a environment that you can play in against the defending national champs. It
Yep.
happens. I think Texas is going to be okay. I think Arch is
Yeah.
going to be fine.
That's the point I was going to make. Now, does that make Texas unbeatable, as we previously uh, were meant to believe before the offseason? Um, Obviously not. They may be not as elite as some were hoping, but I think they're going to be just fine. I still think they're going to be a really good football team. And yeah, I was going to make that point too. Go anybody worried about Arch Manning, just go look at his uncle's first start. Uh, it could be worse. So
It could
yeah,
be. It was. And speaking of, you mentioned kind of what we wanted out of a game. I think the next game I wanted to dive into was exactly what we wanted out of Texas Ohio State, and that was Miami Notre Dame. That
yeah,
game was. I'm credit to Carson Beck. I didn't really expect it. He still threw some balls that were should not have been catchable, but we saw some really impressive plays. But
yeah.
that was kind of the game that I think we all wanted with that
hmm
early kickoff.
Yeah, that was the icing, literally the icing on the cake. We're not even going to talk about North Carolina TCU. That was absolute nonsense. Let's just forget that happened. That was the game. That was the cap to the weekend. Emotional, exciting, down to the wire. That's the kind of football that keeps us coming back for more. So yeah, that was really good to see. I Not many notes as far as I was expecting Notre Dame to be a little more impressive, but I think Miami may just be pretty darn good again this year. So I don't know. Again, it's week one and yet to be determined. But yeah, that was some good football for sure.
Yeah, and you saw something that Cameron Ward would have really liked last year while he was playing at Miami, and that was a little bit of defense from them. So that was
Yeah,
something
yeah,
that could have completely changed the outcome of
yeah.
that
Great
season
point.
for them last year. Maybe it helps under Carson Beck. We'll see. And then, really, the last kind of big headline game that we'll touch on too was a team now that everybody is high on, a team that people were high on going into, but now LSU gets an opening win under Brian Kelly for the first time in his regime. They beat Clemson in another game that was kind of a snoozer as well, but they get it done. 0-5 no more. What'd you think about
Brian
LSU?
O'Brien.
Is LSU now the number one team in the country, the easy national champions, or is it maybe let's pump the brakes a little?
As you know, I did not believe in LSU the entire offseason. I didn't believe in them. I didn't think they should have been ranked in the top 15. I was like, I don't understand it. I don't get it. And maybe I'm just being really football dumb. But I will say it right now, that is the best team in the country. They are really good. They're really, really good. Because I think Clemson is still one of the best teams in the country. I think Dabo Sweeney is a nerd and a goober, but I think Clemson is still one of the best teams in the country. I was really impressed with them. I cannot believe they got that touchdown called back. That was a travesty, and those the refs should have their toenails ripped out for that. But that being said, yes, LSU is a they by far just have that. They just have it. They have the it for me. No team this weekend had the it for me other than LSU. They looked for real.
Yeah, I think to your point, it watching them is not what I expected. It watching LSU reminded me of what LSU was when Les Miles was there, and I really appreciated that because
Mm-hmm.
that's what I feel like LSU football should be.
Yeah,
So it was actually kind of nice to see a team that obviously is super talented, can beat anyone if they get the quarterback play, which we'll see if that continues on both sides. Clemson's kind of the same way, I think. But yeah, I mean, LSU, they were the winners of the weekend. Besides, I'll bring up a couple quick ones after this one. But yeah, LSU, it's hard to sit here and say, yeah, they're not right where we hoped they would be if you're an LSU fan. And a lot of the
yeah,
national media feels pretty good after week one, but it is just week one.
for sure. Yeah, no, you're right. Maybe that is an overreaction, but I try not to have those. But I can't help it with LSU. They're a really good football team.
Yeah, it feels like they are a team that I don't know if due is the right word because it's only 5 years is only 5 years for a national championship, but it doesn't feel like they should always be better than they have been.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
hopefully for the SEC's sake, hopefully for college football's sake, they are back to being good because it's better when they are. And
yeah, I agree.
they, like I said, I think they were one of the winners of the weekend, but I have to give a quick shout out to, I think, the two teams that I was most impressed by that probably are flying under the radar. One that I know is flying way under the radar, and that was Utah, who
Oh
nobody
my
that
gosh.
has an AP vote watched because they were dominant,
Yeah,
and South Florida, who ended Boise State's playoffs hopes
thank
in
you,
week one. They were
thank you.
very impressive as well. I think those two teams deserve a shout out and did not get it as much credit as they deserved in the rankings,
Yep.
which we'll talk about.
But they'll both have a chance again this weekend to do it.
Mhm.
Uh, so yeah, that's going to be a whole nother podcast to talk about UCLA and Utah. But yeah, shout out to Utah. Wow, I think I mean, unless UCLA is just that bad, which I don't expect them to be a good team this year, but Utah was very impressive. They could be contending for that conference for sure. And then yeah, thank you, thank you, Boise State, for proving me right finally. Um, that you are nothing without Ashton Genty, and your playoff spot should have been given to someone else. But anyways, let's rattle off some weekend two uh, things here and get this thing on the road.
Yeah, moving into week two, a lot of people I think are kind of labeling this as maybe a letdown week as far as matchups go, but of course we all know that that does not happen. There'll be some games that you look up, you pick up your scores app and you say, "Uh-oh, I didn't think this team was going to struggle this week."
Mm-hmm.
So that definitely I expect to happen. I think even you could see it tonight with a game that I'll definitely be watching in James Madison, Louisville. I think that one could be interesting. Louisville is trying to make their way back, but James Madison is a really good program, so keep an eye
Yep.
on that one. Who knows? But yeah, there's some good games coming up this weekend. I think the big one is UCF now put themselves at the top of the list for the G5 team to make the playoff, but they
Mm-hmm.
are rewarded with now you got to go play Florida and then you got to follow it up and go play Miami. what kind of
Yeah.
chances do you think they have first playing against Florida this weekend? A really good defensive team that we'll see how good Florida actually is, but could be a good game.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a good game. I think it will be a good game. But I have no opinion on Florida yet. And we're gonna see. You, yeah, USF. They they established to me as a at least a team that could give people fits. Um, but Florida, we have no idea. They played a team named after a drink. So um, I don't know, or maybe the other way around. I don't know. Um, but yeah, I think it could be a sneaky good game. I could see them giving some fits, and I'll be definitely tuned in for that one.
Yeah, I think if UCF is able to get it to halftime and they're still in it, that's where you kind of see, okay, maybe they've got a chance to pull it off. But I'm right there with you. I don't know that they necessarily go in and beat Florida and Miami back to back weeks. But
No,
I know that Florida and Miami are neither one of them are looking up and looking forward to having to play UCF by any
no,
means. So I
especially
think
with
that's
Florida's
kind of what you're
schedule.
going to get out of them. And Alex Golish is a guy that we're familiar with, doing a
Oh yeah.
really good job with that program. They're gonna bother a lot of people, and they're a team that's bothered Alabama for the last couple of years, and looking to do the same to an SEC opponent again this week.
Well, there's already rumors that Alex is coming back to the SEC as soon as he wins UCF or USF a playoff spot this year. So it's amazing how quick week one can shoot us to so many conclusions. But I do wish him well, and I am curious to see what he's going to do this year. I was impressed with him for
Yeah,
sure.
I
But yeah,
think so
let's.
too. And I think the kind of moving into what I think will be the biggest overreaction game this weekend, because I think both of these teams are maybe getting too much credit early, and I think that's Michigan Oklahoma. It's the only ranked game of the week, but I think
Mm,
it's probably one that if you see one of these teams play well and win this game, they're going to get too much credit for it. But we'll see which of those teams it is. I really don't know who's the better team going into this one. Oklahoma favored, but it'll be interesting to see if these teams are ready to take that next step again.
Well, neither looked impressive overall, but they had impressive statistics individually with players, and I I think we just don't know. Uh, we just don't know. But neither of them. I think both of them should have done more with the opponent they had last weekend. So that gives you a little worry. Um, you may want to say, well, they just kept it so vanilla they didn't even care to score points. Sure, but that shouldn't even be a factor. You shouldn't have to even try. That's the point of these games. So I wasn't. Neither of them were super impressive. So is that something to worry about? No, I don't think so. But you also have no idea how good these teams are. Um, like I said, John Mateer looked great, but they scored 35 points against um, San Jose Crocs University. I don't even know. I honestly can't even remember who they played. It was literally it was Goodwill A&T or something like that. I don't. You should have scored more points against a team like that. That's all I'm saying. And Michigan as well. They weren't super impressive overall.
Absolutely, yeah, and it's a big test. Michigan coming in with a true freshman quarterback. Oklahoma, of course, hitting the portal to restock at quarterback. It's a big test for both of those guys to see where they are, and those are two teams that I'm not willing to say that they can go as far as the quarterback takes them. I think that they will need help. I don't know if they're that talented, but teams that can be right there on the edge of that playoff,
Sure.
especially with the way the Big Ten is, the SEC is going to be hard. There's so many teams that are right there in the mix. But the way the Big Ten is, Michigan, they can keep themselves in that conversation. As much as I hate to see them in any conversation that's positive, but yeah, they
Yeah.
can hang in there with a true freshman quarterback, and it would be a good story. It would be interesting to hear and see if they are able to hang in there as the season progresses. But like you said, week two, I think we're still more in the find out stage, not necessarily a this is a must win stage for any of these teams.
Well, Michigan fans, don't worry if you're bad this year. You can just buy another championship in a couple of years. It'll be fine. So don't worry
Absolutely.
about it. It's going to be okay. Um,
And
yeah.
the next game I
So
wanted to touch on too is a team that you kind of have some fondness for as well. Illinois going to Duke. I think that one has a chance to be interesting. You have a somewhat of a soft spot for Illinois, ranked number 11. I think they're a
yeah,
team as well that we'll see
I
what
just
they
think
are, but Duke, I think they have a propensity to give teams a hard time as well.
they do. Yeah, I just love Brett Bielema. He's hilarious, and I think they got some really good pieces on that team. I want it to be a good game just because I would love to see a ranked team lose, but at the same time, like you said, I I think Illinois is a pretty darn good team, and I actually don't think they're going to have much of a problem as much as we want it to be a good game because there aren't many this week. I don't think it will be. I think Illinois probably runs them out of the building. Um, just my feeling on that.
Interesting.
Uh,
I think
but I
that
think
one,
it's only a 3.5.
yeah,
I think it's two and a half
that's
or
a
three.
an
So
opportunity for sure. I think Duke, we'll find out. Duke looked pretty good last week. We'll see. It's so early. You're just not getting a lot early on. And I think that's kind of similar to what we're going to see. Also, another game I wanted to highlight the in state battle, Iowa State. Iowa has been trending down, Iowa State trending up the last couple of years. We'll see if Iowa can give Iowa State a run at it.
again, it's a rivalry game, so maybe better than we think it's going to be. But again, I think Iowa State is so much better than Iowa. I don't I don't see them having much problems. Unfortunately, I don't. Again, I don't know if it's going to be a good game. I think we may look at the score and remember that game is on and be like, oh, okay, yeah, well, that looks about right. Uh, Unfortunately, I just don't see many nail biters this week, except for I don't know if you've got one more. Do you have one more on your list?
I had two more that I feel like are basically the same game.
Mhm.
That's Ole Miss, Kentucky, and Kansas, Missouri. I feel like both of those are
That's the
very
one.
similar games. So those were kind of the only other two that I was really highlighting as ones to watch for me at least.
That's the one I'm really interested to see. I think Kansas is really underrated right now, and I think they could just outright beat Missouri. Maybe not. Maybe Missouri's pretty good. They look pretty good this past weekend, but I think that's going to be one to watch. I think that's a heated, historical, bad blood rivalry. Those fan bases do not like each other, and they haven't played in a while. So I think it's going to be very fun. That will be one you should, if you have to pick a game, that's the one I think everybody should tune into
It's
for
going to
sure.
be really nice to watch that game from a 2007 perspective of Big 12 football at
Yeah.
its best. I think that's exactly what we're looking at for that game. I really look forward to that one. I think it's going to be a fun one. And I think Kansas is good. I don't know what Missouri is, but I think potentially could be the game of the week.
Yeah. I agree. I think so. I'll be surprised if it isn't. But yeah, man, you want to hit this show to the road and go watch
We'll
some
get it to
football?
the road. There's one more I did actually just, there was one more I forgot about that I
Okay. Yeah,
think
go for it.
is probably not on people's radar just because of what this team was last year, but just keep an eye out for the later game. It's not going to be on the main networks this weekend, but Arizona State going to Starkville to play Mississippi State.
Oh
Just
yeah,
keep an eye out
I
for that one. That's kind of
Yeah.
a big test for Arizona State to see where they're at. And Mississippi State, we all thought they were going to be improved. We'll find out where they stand, but that was one I just look out for that
Yeah.
one this weekend. It may be a good watch later in the evening on Saturday.
Yeah. Hey, FanDuelers, if you guys want to shout out, not a sponsor, you guys want to little bet there. I've got Arizona State on upset alert. I'm putting money on those old Bulldogs. So yeah, I think that's going to be a interesting one to keep an eye on as well. So
Yeah, I think this is the week that you kind of just sit back, enjoy watching college football as we start to figure out what these teams are, and then we go into week 3 where it's big test time. So I
real
think
football.
this is where we you enjoy it one more week, and then the stress kicks in as you
That's
start to
right.
see the bigger matchups comes in. So really excited just to see what we get, to see the games that we're not expecting to be good ones, but can't wait for another week of college football. It's the best time of the year, and we'll go through. I don't know if you've got a come on, bro, but we can jump into that. I've got one that just popped up for me last night, and if you've got one, you can go first, or I'll lead us off.
No, I don't have one. I was just I was all for the reactions and the crap talk. So I actually don't have one. I promise I'll get back on the streak for you guys this next time around. But
Well,
yeah, go
the
for it, man.
the one I've got, I know that you can jump right on board with me. We texted about it last night. This is the spit gate now is what they're calling it. Jalen Carter, and of course now all you Georgia fans, I know you're all gonna say, "Hey, Dak spat first," but one thing that Jalen Carter did, I don't know if you noticed this, but Jalen Carter spat on Dak Prescott last night. Dak Prescott spat in the general direction 10 feet away from Jalen Carter. So let's not pretend like it's the same thing. A guy who is historically a is character issue, or the right way to put it, a
Yeah,
guy that
that's the
is would not be doing anything except playing in the NFL. So that's my come on, bro. Jalen Carter, how many times does it take for you to do something dumb before you realize maybe I shouldn't walk directly up to the starting quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys before an actual play happens and spit on him? Come on, bro. Just embarrassing.
yeah, dude, you nailed it. Come on, bro. Yeah, I don't I don't even know where to start with that. You are given such a incredible opportunity, and you're a walking turd for I don't know, man. I come on, bro. I don't even. That's the only thing you can say, right? Because if you say too much, you're gonna be called out for being too harsh or you know biased or whatever. I don't know, dude. I can't think of the last time something so unsportsmanlike happened in that capacity. Um, I I don't know what the NFL is going to do, but they've got to. I honestly think they've got to set a precedent. I think I, I would call for a suspension. Honestly, I don't know what. I don't know what's come out. I don't know if anything has come out about it yet. But you just can't have players acting like that. This is a sport. This isn't real. You know, it's, it's just it's uncalled for. You don't need it.
Yeah,
Uh,
and I think just
just make the
to
paperhead. Like
we are not going to sit here on our high horses and pretend like when you're in the scrum, when you're under the pile, that crazy things don't happen. Things are
sure,
said, inappropriate things happen in football. We know locker room talk happens, that kind of stuff. We get
yeah,
it.
yeah.
We're not going to sit here and pretend to be a high and mighty, but
Oh
let's
no,
not
yeah.
pretend like this is not a different scenario from a guy who has a past, and I'm perfectly fine with leaving the past in the past, if you leave the past in the past, and Jalen Carter has not done that, has not
Exactly.
shown that he has matured from things he did at Georgia that were much worse than what he did last night, but things that he continues to do that tells me somebody needs to talk to him and say, hey, it's time to maybe grow up a little bit. It
Yeah.
just, to me, it's just
Yeah.
disappointing. A guy that is so lucky, has such a great opportunity, and is such a talented football player to continue to put himself out there doing stuff like this. It's just a come on, bro, and it's a grow up, bro. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah. Grow up, bro, for sure. There's yeah, you nailed it, man. Uh, somebody's he's gonna be if he continues, he's gonna be one of those forgotten what ifs. I'm afraid, because he's incredibly talented. Uh, but you can't have that. The NFL needs to come down, I think. And I'm not trying to be PC Patty either, like you said. But you can't have this. Yeah, you know,
You
can't
just
have it.
can't do it. It's too good of a, the Eagles are too good of a football team, a too good of an organization. You just can't be doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Somebody on that team needs to pull him aside and be a leader, and let's move on to next week. I get it, but come on, bro, grow up. And with that, we are going to gladly take ourselves to college football. It starts tonight. It's college football weekend. We're excited. Another good week. We appreciate you coming on, enjoying the time with us, and thank you for joining the B Dub Bros yet again.
yes, sir. See you guys after we watch some college football. Let's do it.